This is TK Coleman, and you're listening to Small Business Edge by Terris. This is the podcast where we deconstruct small business entrepreneurship through conversations with franchisees, passion-based business owners, and other experts. We learn what it takes to succeed. So I am here with entrepreneur extraordinaire, Terri Jacques. And Terri Jacques is a franchise owner for Massage Envy. She currently owns 3 locations and is working on a 4th. Terri, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I'd like to know a little bit more about how you got involved in being a franchise owner and what your day-to-day work is like with Massage Envy.
Okay, sure. So my husband and I worked in fields that were increasingly becoming, shall I say, extinct or things that were eventually going to be outsourced overseas. And we pretty much saw the writing on the wall. I worked in the IT field for 15 years for Verizon, and my husband worked in broadcasting in Washington, D.C. And, you know, there was a lot of layoffs going on and a lot of things that we just knew that we needed to look for other things. Some of our very close friends were getting into the franchise world, mostly food industries. We didn't feel that the food industry was something that we were interested in getting involved in. So we weren't very familiar with franchising, so we reached out to a franchise broker. And the broker brought several concepts to us, and one of the concepts was Massage Envy. There wasn't any Massage Envies in our local area, so we went to another state and did some, did the due diligence and looked into the concept. Me, myself, I had been getting massages. That's what I always wanted as a birthday present, anniversary present, feel-good present. And so it made sense to me. It was something that I really enjoyed getting personally on a personal level. And then learning about the Massage Envy membership model concept made total sense. Massages cost, a lot of money. And if you wanted to get it on a regular basis for a health reason or just maintenance of your body, it was going to be very costly. Massage Envy made it so that it was something that you could afford on a regular basis through their membership model. So to me, it was a win-win. It was something that I enjoyed getting on a personal level. And now I could see myself getting involved in it on a business level and really being engaged in it and being an engaged franchise owner. And so from there, there was one location that was available. It had been sold out, even though they weren't technically open in my area. There was one license available, and we jumped on it. And the rest is history. Luckily, a couple of other opportunities opened up where some other people had backed out. And we jumped on it, and it just worked. I'm a very engaged and hands-on type of person. I really, put my full energy in anything that I do. And when I decided to do Massage Envy, I was still actually working at Verizon. I still kept that job as I was working with Massage Envy because I just needed to have my hands full, but I also needed to make sure that it was going to work because it was a new concept in the area. I did that balancing act for 5 years, actually.
5 years.
5 years. 5 years. I maintained that. Verizon probably wouldn't want me to put that out there, but I did. I was managing both. Luckily, I had a really good store manager that could manage the day-to-day operations in the beginning. And I handled a lot of the bookkeeping and payroll and marketing, things that could be done, outside the normal 9 to 5 hours. Did a lot of that stuff. But as we really started to grow and the company started to really turn a great profit, I knew that I could jump ship from Verizon and jump in this full time. By that time, I actually already had my second store. And the rest is history.
Wait. Are you telling me that you had a second store while you were still working for Verizon? Is that what you're telling me?
Just for a few months.
Okay. So for a 90-day period of your life, you owned 2 franchises and you were working at Verizon. Please tell me what that work week looked like. I mean, how many hours were you working at Verizon? 40 hours a week.
40 hours a week. Probably a little bit more, because people who work in the IT industry, the work is based upon a software life cycle. And so normally software gets pushed on a weekend and you work to make sure that software push is good. And, so there was some flexibility there. If I worked on the weekend, then that allowed me to do other things during the week. Believe me, I was definitely doing 80, 90, 100 hours some weeks trying to manage both of these things. It was fun for me. I loved being an entrepreneur. Now I love the opportunity that one day I was going to walk away from that 9-to-5 job. So that's what drove me to work like a crazy woman doing both of those jobs. And just to give you a little backstory, just to kind of go back to my earlier days of coming up in the working industry, and I really probably shouldn't be putting this on air, but
back to the days when you were working a meager 50 hours a week.
Something like that. At the age of 13, I got my first job as a lifeguard. You weren't supposed to start working until you were 16.
Wow.
Okay. And I embellished my age and I worked from 13, and I've been working like that to this day. When I went to college full time. I had a full-time job and I did a part-time internship all throughout college. That has always been my way of life. So working at Verizon, owning 2 franchise businesses at the same time, yes, it was very stressful, and I was working God knows how many hours. I couldn't even imagine counting what I did, but it was always, it drove me to hit any type of goals, anything that I was trying to get after. That was my target. I just went after it, and it didn't even make sense to me. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. All of those things were happening during those times too. And again, I just am a very good manager of my time and a very good, manager of making it work. I'm just driven. That's all I can say.
Wow. That's absolutely phenomenal. Would you say that amount of work ethic, that amount of hustle, that amount of time spent, is that necessary for someone that wants to follow in your footsteps and own a franchise? Do they have to be mentally prepared to just go at it for 70 hours a week?
At the end of the day, no one is going to put in that sweat like the owner, like the entrepreneur. At the end of the day, the employees, they're going to punch that clock and they're going to walk away from it. The owner has got to make sure everything is right. The light bill is paid, the telephone is working, the paychecks are getting pushed out. It does not matter what is going on. It still has to get done. And so I'm on the clock 7 days a week. If you want your business to be successful, you can definitely put the right people in place and it can run smoother, but you will always be the one that has to be dialed in and know what's going on if you want your business to be successful.
Terri, I grew up watching movies like The Christmas Carol and, with people like Ebenezer Scrooge, where the rich person was always portrayed as the one that was just focused on money. They had no life. They didn't get to celebrate Christmas. They never laughed. They were overly serious, and they lived to work rather than work to live. And I know for many people that don't have the entrepreneurial personality, they don't quite understand that. They hear someone like you say, I work 7 days a week. I often work on holidays. Yeah. Tell me, what's your why? What's the thing that makes you different from someone that just works to live, or that just lives to work?
Well, for me, the reason why I work so hard is obviously I'm driven and I have a personal goal to make sure things are successful. And I'm definitely financially invested into this business, but I work hard because I want to make it easier for my employees. I want to make sure that the hard work that they do, the little bit of things that I can do to make it smoother, it will be, because I am working on Sunday night to make sure that, files are scanned or, customer emails have been checked. That's one less thing for them to do in the morning because I found the time to do it over the weekend. I work hard so their job can actually be easier and they can have a regular 9-to-5 job. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I like to make it easier for my staff. And that's why I do it. I do it for them. I could also probably say I probably do it for my family in order to make sure their life is secure and their all the things that they need in their life is a little bit easier. But I'm a very giving person, and I enjoy what I do. It is not, it's a lot of hours, but it's enjoyable for me. It is what I know, and I do it very well. And so if you do something that you like to do, it's not hard. It's time consuming, but it's not hard.
I love it. I can tell that you enjoy every second of it. It's awesome to sort of hear that come through. Now, when you had the first franchise, you're working at Verizon full time and running that.
Yep.
You said an opportunity opened up for you to get a second franchise. I imagine when you first started, the goal was to just kind of get out of Verizon and be able to dedicate yourself fully to the first franchise. So at what point did you decide that you wanted to have a second one? What was this a part of the original plan, or was it a spontaneous decision?
Yeah, it was part of the original plan was to have 2 locations. At the time, the opportunity was not available. There was always a hope that that a new territory would become available, and or another franchise owner maybe wanted to sell and get out of the business. Those were 2 options that I was hopeful that would come. What ended up happening was because my first location did so well, there was a certain territory of folks that were driving from another territory to come to my location. And what the regional developers realized was that we should look at this area. It was not originally on the map to put a store in that territory, but now that we see this group of individuals, this market that has opened up, we now want to put a store in that territory. And Terri, would you be interested in doing this because you already own the client base from that territory? And I raised my hand. Of course, I would love to do it. It wasn't the territory that I was originally thinking that I was going to get involved in, but it just made sense. Space became available. And then I just had to go through the whole process of getting qualified again, just like I did for the first one. And if I had not had the early success of that first location, I don't think that I would have been able to start a second location so quickly. Within 2 years' time, I was already starting to develop and plan the second location. So, knock on wood, it worked out. It was, I don't know if you want to say it was luck. I think it was a lot of hard work and, just being driven. And again, a blessing.
Amazing. For the person that's asking, how do I know when I'm ready to take on that second location? What do you say?
When you're seeing growth in your business, when you're seeing the demand outweigh the availability. If you have so much demand and you cannot meet that demand, you've got to look for a new opportunity to meet that demand. And we were, this is a massage business and there's only so many massages that we can do. I was at a capacity where I could not add another employee to do massages at pretty much any time of the day. And so I'm at max capacity in my facility. I need another facility. I need to go and open up another location where I have a whole new 7 days of opportunities of appointments for a whole another group of folks to get in there. And that's how it worked out. Luckily, knock on wood.
Now you have 3 locations, and you mentioned to me offline that you have some interesting branding efforts that you're making with regards to the 4th. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I am extremely excited to be embarking on the first location in Washington, D.C. There is no Massage Envy currently there and no competitors in this massage membership model concept has been able to break ground in Washington, D.C. This has been 3 years in the making of when we first signed on to take over this territory and bring the first location there. It has been a very difficult journey finding space, finding affordable space, and getting through. There's a lot of zoning and special exceptions that were needed to be done because massage is it's a luxury, but unfortunately there's a lot of laws on the books in DC that put a lot of there's just a lot of concern with bringing certain types of massage concepts to the Washington DC area. We went through 3 different leases with 3 different landlords to try to find the right concept where they can or the right landlord who would be understanding of what our use was and to understand what our concept was. And we finally landed on one in the last 6 months. And hopefully in the year 2017, in early spring, we'll be bringing the first massage location to Washington, D.C. Super excited about that.
Oh, this sounds really interesting. You've referenced the membership model a couple of times. In fact, you mentioned when you visited the broker, that was one of the things that attracted you most about Massage Envy. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So if you think of your typical gym membership, Gold's Gym, LA Fitness, what have you, you pay a set fee monthly. And in a membership model or in a gym membership model, you pay that certain fee and you're able to come as many times as you like during that month's time. With Massage Envy's membership, you pay a set fee, and that includes 1 massage or 1 facial each month. But the real benefit is if you come multiple times during that month, you can get additional massages or facials at 50% off. So it's not quite as many as you would like at no cost like a gym membership, but you can come as often as you like at 50% off the cost. Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm ready to sign up. You're in the stress management business, so let's talk a little bit about stress and your relationship to it. What would you say is the first major roadblock you encountered as a franchise owner, and how'd you respond?
Okay, so the very first roadblock that I had was getting financing. I had never owned a business before prior to this. And so I really had to, convince banks that I could run a business successfully with no experience. You have to have a lot of liquid equity, a lot of liquid cash and indoor equity in order to finance businesses. And so, I did own a house, so I had equity in that, and I did have some cash. But more importantly, where was that business experience? The one thing that I was able to leverage was my real estate career that I'd had for a few years. I was also a real estate agent, and that is an entrepreneurial business as well. You're out there developing leads, and hopefully you're buying and selling homes, and you do that all on your own through a broker, but most of it is very entrepreneurial. So I was able to leverage that experience. And then the other way that I was able to convince the banks to bank on me was I had a relationship with a bank for about 15 years. And I spent a little bit of time working for that bank in my early careers of working. I was able to leverage some of my contacts and networking in that opportunity. So between those two, it took several months to get through that process. But I was provided with the financing to that. And once they were able to see growth in my business, and it was a very good growth, I was able to leverage that into the second business and obtain financing for the second business and move on. So that was really my very first hurdle involved into this. Just trying to get the financing to move forward with my dream of having this franchise business. And luckily I was successful, and I was able to prove, now moving into my 4th location, that I'm definitely someone that can make it happen.
One of the things that that draws people to franchise ownerships is they don't have to reinvent the entrepreneurial wheel. And, a lot of the roadmap is laid out for them. But at the same time, many people have this impression that owning a franchise means you just follow the script and you'll succeed. What are some of the ways you still have the pressure of differentiating yourself within this context?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and that is very true for a lot of people's thought processes that going into franchising, everything is laid out for you, and to some degree that is correct. The way that the pricing is involved, and the way that maybe the products are secured, maybe some of the basic foundations of the business is there for you. What's different, extremely different from all of that is that you are responsible for hiring all the staff. That's probably one of the biggest things. There's no manual on hiring and managing the staff. That is fully the entrepreneurs or the franchise owners' responsibility to hire and manage and motivate and set goals and do all of the HR related things that are necessary to maintain a staff. If you don't have a great staff, you have no business. It is very important to have a great management team so that they can help you to manage the staff. That is your most important asset beyond anything that you do. So it's very important that you engage and that you pay attention to that. In the massage business, the labor supply consists very heavily of maintaining massage therapists on your staff. That is a shrinking labor supply, or it is, let's say, very tighter than when it's been since I first got involved in it. And so again, you've heard of the saying, it's cheaper to keep her. It's very important that you maintain or retain your employees. You don't want to go through a process of losing your staff. If that is what's happening, there's something far greater going on. So setting up employee relationships and setting a great culture in your business is supremely important in order to retain your greatest asset, which is your employees.
And Terri, how big is your staff?
I have, last count, 110 employees. Yeah, that's prior to us getting rolling on that fourth location and soon to be new concept that we're getting involved in.
Wow. All right. So, but before we wrap up here, I want to ask you a few questions about some of your influences and insights for others. What is the most awesome thing about being a franchise owner that nobody else knows?
That nobody else knows. Well, what I like to say is I love that I have the opportunity to promote people and see their growth every single day. I've hired people that would have never thought that they could one day be a store manager. They started from the bottom, just basically being a sales associate or what some people may call a receptionist. And within 2 years' time, I have been able to promote people to running a multi-million-dollar business. I am so ecstatic to see that type of evolution in someone that didn't even believe in themselves to that greatest extent from the beginning. And I'm also excited for the people that have learned a lot of business knowledge, business ethics, business education from working underneath me, and now have gone on to other opportunities, even outside of my business. And we still keep in contact. We still have great relationships. And I see that they're now running their own businesses or have gone into becoming lawyers or educators or what have you. And they always come back to me and they say, Terri, I really feel as though I got a great foundation working under you. I learned great sales techniques. I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to build relationships. And to me, that's ecstatic. I'm ecstatic by that. I love the fact that I've been able to influence and make people's lives much better for being a part of my business.
That's amazing. Last question for you. Tell me about one other franchise that inspires the way you do business.
Oh, goodness. one other franchise. Well, any business that takes care of their employees and that puts their employees first, to me, is a business that is inspirational and one that I strive. Chick-fil-A, people talk about Chick-fil-A all the time and how they treat their customers. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they could treat their customers as well as they do unless they treat their employees even better. Your staff is not going to deliver the brand promise or the set of values that the company has put forth if they don't believe them, if they don't feel it, if they're not valued themselves. So any business out there that puts all their efforts into taking care of their employees, which will trickle down to their customers, that's a business that excites me and that I want to follow and emulate as I continue on this path of entrepreneurship.
Terri, for those who might want to follow up on you and maybe sign up for one of those memberships, what would be the best way for them to either contact you or find out more about what you do?
Sure. If anybody wants to contact me directly, they're welcome to reach me at Terri, TERRI.JACQUES @massagenv.com, or they can definitely reach out to any one of my franchise locations.
Terri, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me.
Thanks so much.
For added insights and a full collection of episodes from Small Business Edge, visit Terris.com/podcast.